Alright, good morning everybody, and my name is Leslie Williams. It's actually the afternoon right now, and I decided to make this video. It's an informative video that's got a little bit more than tidbits of information that you're gonna, that if you feel inclined to do so, you can take to the internet and research each described tidbit. As a result, you'll be able to literally correlate the information that comes up in order to be able to come up with a pictorial representation, a holistic pictorial representation concerning the theme of what I'm exposing. Now, I want you to pay close attention to this right here. This is a website right here. Okay, just let me bring it up on my phone here really fast. Okay, and basically what it says, I'm going to read it. It says gang stalking, CPS, which is California Protection Services or Child Protection Services, human trafficking. Now, what you want to go to Google and type in is http://www.lukearmy.com/content/high-corruption-us-high-story-high-fin-sexual. Now, if you go to Google and type that in, or if you attempt to type that in a URL address, you should bring up this article, which I'm typing right now. Okay, that was the link that I saved and that I sent to my email account from this article that's coming up right now. Okay, now it's basically a post, okay, from lukesarmy.com's website. And if you go to, you can just go to Google. It was probably, in fact, it'd be easier for you to, because what this girl did was she left a comment on lukesarmy.com's blog. Okay, now make no mistake about it, what happened to little Luke is just as important as what happened with this girl, okay, as a result of her being a target, her and her daughter being a target of these criminal realities. In order to find the comment that I'm referring to in particular concerning this video, is to just, in fact, you can just go to www.lukesarmy.com and you'll find her comment on his blog. Okay, I found it by going in and typing in at Google neural implants and human trafficking. Now let me just situate this video camera up here so I can make this video in the so I can make my statements pertaining to the theme of why I'm making this video. And I got a broken arm and a broken wrist, so bear with me for a second and make sure that the record. Okay, now my name is Leslie Williams and I live in La Jolla. Now, there's going to be a couple statements in this video that are not going to make complete sense to you, or you might, or you might wonder why I'm including them. The reason why I am including them is for the perpetrators who I have no doubt in my mind at all, or more than likely even hearing what I'm saying right now, because this cell phone is hacked. In organized stalking and gang stalking expeditions, when they flag and tag a target to gang stalk, they monitor all of the targeted individuals' electronics, their video cameras, their tape recorders, their cell phones. Now when it comes to the cell phones, they'll hack into them even when the battery is out, because the cell phone is still running a unit of charge in it in order to keep all the internal instructions, okay, of the actual cell phone. They can literally hack into this phone and use it as a GPS tracker. They can use the speaker that you talk into when you're placing a call or receiving one and use it as a microphone, and they can hack into the camera on this phone. Now, go to Google right now and type in human trafficking and gang stalking, okay? And research thoroughly and extensively what comes up as a result of you typing in these keywords. It's no mistake that you're getting Google-generated responses in reference to these keyworded descriptions: human trafficking, gang stalking, human trafficking, organized stalking, human trafficking. Now, I have right now in my possession a little bit of an older diagram that was printed out by me as a result of going to, remember, my statements, the descriptions that I state in this YouTube video, all the descriptions I state are to be researched and then cross-reference to the other descriptions, because what you're going to be doing is taking the information that comes up from each description in order to paint a holistic a holistic pictorial representation in your mind, because each description brings about enough information for you to fold it and intertwine it all together in order to complete the tapestry of the theme concerning how organized stalking and gang stalking expeditions are directly connected to human trafficking rings, sexual servitude rings, neural enslavement for sexual enslavement. And when I talk about neural enslavement, I'm not just talking about your fly-by-night mind control techniques. I'm talking about literal technology that is being used to hack into the mind, okay, and how it's being used in conjunction with and in cooperation with. Basically what they do is burn and train a targeted individual, okay, through classically conditioned neural responses that the targeted individual has as a result of being gang stalked, and through some of the technological resources that the targeted individual is subjected to from a remote distance by the perpetrators. I am talking about, but not limited to, remote neural monitoring, remote behavioral influencing technology, and directed energy weapons. Now, these technologies do have the capacity to direct neural influence and to direct psychological direction. That's right, and for burn entrainment. And if you go to the very, very, very bottom of Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance, you can look on the very, very bottom of their homepage, and you will discover 3 PDF links. And these 3 PDF links are PDF links of these 3 aforementioned technologies. Now, hold on one second, please. Again, the key thing for you to remember concerning this video is to take all descriptions, research, and take all the material from each description and correlate it together from each description concerning what you bring out from each description. I went to UnitedTargetedIndividualsEurope.com back in 2009 and 2010 after I discovered that that what was happening to me was gang stalking on the internet. And I researched, I became familiar with the technologies of organized stalking, gang stalking expeditions on October 7th or October 10th, 2010. Okay, in reference to some of the names of the technologies. Now, as a result of what I discovered over time, I did research on the internet, and one of the avenues of information that I was able to find was an older, diagram that was on, that used to be on. It's not there no more. They got an updated one, okay? But the older one I saved in one of my email accounts and printed it out, and I've been carrying it around with me for years. And this diagram, I should have got it out, but trust me, I've already made videos of it. You could probably find it by going to YouTube and typing in "Learning Disabled Woman Exposes Remote Neural Monitoring" or "Learning Disabled Woman Exposes Gang Stalking Remote Neural Monitoring." You'll eventually find it. This diagram literally shows how remote neural monitoring, how implants, and how gang stalking work hand in hand. Okay? Now, when you go to Google and type in neural implants and human trafficking, research it extensively and meticulously. Now, what you're going to be doing is look at, you can still go to UnitedTargetedIndividualsEurope.com and look at what's on their homepage and look at what's on their YouTube videos. And especially when you go to their homepage, click on the TI symptoms feature. You can also go to Freedom Fighters for America and look on their webpage. When you bring that webpage up, over to the left is a column of links. You want to research all the biomedical implantation. Click on that feature and you'll bring up a bunch of different implants that are used against organized stalking, gang stalking, targeted individuals, and targeted individuals of non-consensual human experimentation, which gang stalking targets are definitely targets of. Specific ones are. I'm saying that in order to protect my butt. Hang on. And the reason why I'm saying that is that I'm not acknowledging and I'm not denying that I am a non-consensual human experimentation target. Because the perpetrators in the system will use anything I say against me and call me mentally ill. They'll try and claim that I got a persecutorial delusional disorder or persecutorial schizophrenic disorder, because these are the additional crimes they use to discredit a target who's telling the truth about their criminalities. And if you don't believe that human non-consensual human experimentation is not protected by the system, think again, because when they created these expeditions, they knew that they were going to have to protect their butt at the local, state, and federal level. because these technologies came from our military. Now, these technologies are being used for some of the most heinous crimes that the mind can conceive and cannot conceive. It's not just about neural enslavement for little sexual enslavement, and I'll get to that in a minute. It's also about torturing targets, and even the children and even infants and targets, in order to harvest the EEG signatures and the emotional clusters from a target. That's right, because it's all about electrical signals, EEGs. Physiological signals, endocrine systems, EMG responses, anything and everything that they can harvest from the target individual they will do because of their criminal aspirations in reference to transhumanism and transhumanism for the military. My name is Leslie Williams. I made this video in order to inform, to expose the truth. Case in point, if you have a target individual who has a neural implant in their head, in their spinal column, in their cranial, in the back of their neck, around their cranial. If you have one that's got one in their nasal passage, in their jaws, in their ears, what they can do is when the target individual is experiencing anger, depression, frustration, anxiety, sexual stimulation, what they will do is harvest these physiological signals and these EEG signatures and these emotional clusters. They will harvest them. And what I mean by that is that, do you know how, like, when you say, if you are feeling dizzy, okay, and you dismiss it because it goes away, and then the next day you feel dizzy, you start thinking to yourself, what's going on here? I'm eating right, I don't smoke, I don't do anything I shouldn't be doing. 3 days, 4 days in a row, you start feeling dizzy. So you go to the doctor and you say, look, I'm feeling dizzy, and he might do an EEG on you. He might put these little, things and attach them to your skull, and then hook them up to a machine, and the machine will then test this, I think what's called something graphs. I forgot what it was called. I'm sorry. I should have looked it up before I made this video, but you can look up what EEG means at Google. And what that will do will bring a printout, an electrical printout of your brainwave activity. Those are EEGs. Now, when the target individual is experiencing thoughts, emotions, brain states, physiological signals, the brain is also experiencing this as well. And since the target individual has been implanted, the frequencies that all of the target individuals' neural and physiological systems are generating are being harvested in reference to the electrical activity by them. And then what they're doing is cloning them. They're keeping the originals and they're cloning them as a result of harvesting them. And why are they doing that? Because now it is believed that they don't even really need the neural implants anymore. Bio applications and telemetry and tetrodyning, it's all over the internet about what they're doing to organize stalking, gang stalking target individuals, and it's being widely suggested that they don't even need the implants anymore because of some of the technology that they got. They have perfected to the capabilities to where it is being strongly suggested that the implants are no longer even needed. And what am I trying to say? If a target individual's vector location can be, if a target individual's, like where I'm at right now, okay, I'm sitting in a stationary position. My position, my stationary location, where I'm sitting at this location in a stationary position can be vectored by them. They can blanket this vectored location with electromagnetic waves and interlace radio waves and sound waves on those microwaves in order to modulate their waves down to interface with the biomagnetic electrical field of the brain and the body. Once they modulate their signal down to interface with the targeted individual's biomagnetic field of their brain and their physiological systems, they can piggyback onto it in order to hijack into it. I strongly suggest you take a look at those 3 PDF links. Okay? Now, they can do this to anybody, and as a result of one person's EEG signatures and emotional clusters being harvested, once they're harvested, they will keep the originals, and then they will make a copy. They will clone them, and then modulate the cloned ones to interface with a separate targeted individual's harvested EEG signatures and emotional clusters, and then fine-tune them to where the one that came from one can be tweaked to mimic and be identical to a separate targeted individual's Okay? Now, if a target individual is experiencing anger, frustration, depression, anxiety, hopelessness, what they can do is take that EEG signature that they harvested, copy it, clone it, and then have it modulated to interface with another individual's harvested EEG signature, and then beam and transmit that EEG signal back to a separate human being, so they will literally feel those brain states. Along with concerning how they can additionally, when they're doing that, manipulate the targeted individual's biological systems. You can go to Google right now and type in psychotronics in a biological map, and you'll eventually find the biological map of the human being, and it literally shows all the different targeted places on the human body that can be hijacked into, including the get up and go response. Now, hold on one second. So far, since I've started this video, I've been talking to you using my voice print. Everything that I state out of my mouth comes up through my subvocal speech. Hold on. Whenever a person is thinking, before they generate the vocal speech, their brain is processing the information up from their unconscious to their subconscious. Okay? And by the time it gets up into the consciousness, it is ready for verbal speech. But the brain is already aware of what the person is thinking at the subconscious and unconscious level. It comes from the unconscious to the subconscious, and that is where speech starts to get attached to the thought process. That's right. These individuals can literally monitor the language that is being formed before it even reaches the conscious level of the target at their subconscious level. It's called subvocal speech, and that can be YouTubed and Googled. So they can basically harvest a targeted individual's vocal cords in reference to the pitch, melody, and tone of their speech, of the way they sound when they talk. They can then put this sound print into a computer that's got a voice modulator, a voice synthesizer, and a voice morpher, and incorporate that person's voice print in their computer, and then transmit dialogue streams, composed sentences. This is where the directing neural influence and the directive psychological direction is mentioned in the remote neural monitoring file. They can voice print your voice, put it into a computer, okay, and then speak anything into their computer, and what they will speak will come out in that target individual's voice. Or they can compose sentences for psychological direction, like I am going to go to Walmart. They can type that in the keyboard, and what they type in will come out as the voice print that has been put into the computer. They will then streamline these psychological directions, statements, okay, into the computer, and then transmit them back into the target individual's audio cortex. Every individual has an audio cortex and a video cortex. It is clearly mentioned in a diagram in the remote neural monitoring file. As a result, whatever is transmitted into the target individual's audio cortex with their voice print, the target individual hears, because it's being transmitted into the target individual's audio cortex in their own voice print. As a result, the target individual believes they're having their own thought, because when this transmission is transmitted, it is transmitted below the perceptual radar. As John Hall calls them, artificial thoughts. So they can put an idea in anybody's head, including a little girl who's 9 and 10 years old, leaving her mom and dad's house because she's been given some money by her father. Good, decent American father, or any father from any country, because these expeditions are going on in multiple countries. Just listen to this example. An innocent, precious little girl who has been remotely neurally monitored from criminals that have sat outside of her house and neurally mapped her as a result of them being able to do so with this technology. Listen carefully, please. This little girl, who's only 8, 9, 10 years old, maybe 11 or 12, okay, has been given some money by her father because maybe she did some chores, something at the house, and he wants to congratulate her, pay her for some work that she did, so he can give her a sense of earning something for something that she's doing. He's bringing her up in the right way. She's excited that she got this money, and she wants to go to the store and get some lollipops. They know it, because they have already brain mapped her and are able to hear what she is processing in her own audio cortex. This is another thing that they can do. They can monitor every thought that the target individual has, because every thought that little girl has is heard in her own audio cortex, even at the subconscious level. Okay? So if they know when she's leaving her house, they can wait till she gets to the store or on the way to the store and induce a thought in her head using her own voice print to go with them somewhere as a result of them baiting her with something like candy. Once they get her into that van, she's gone. Where she can be taken to another place to be neurally entrained for sexual enslavement. And whatever is entrained can be stimulated to be brought back into consciousness in real time, which makes her a literal neural slave for sexual enslavement. My name is Leslie Williams, and I'm in San Diego, California. I live in La Jolla. You want to know another thing that they can do with this technology? See, what you got to understand is that in organized stalking and gang stalking expeditions, these filthy sewer criminal rat whores, and they are the worst of the literal worst. These are the kinds of people who will rape a girl, a little girl, a little boy. These are the kinds of people who will kidnap your child and sell them to the worst of the worst. Literally. Okay, make no mistake about it. Now, once this little girl's audio cortex has been monitored, brain mapped, guess what other things that they might transmit into her mind in her own voice print? She can be taken to a store with one of these pedophiles and standing there with another man, that the pedophile that has got her, and another man will approach her. And guess what they will transmit into her audio cortex in her own dear, sweet little voice? Can I please suck your... in her own little voice. This is even making her believe that these are her choices. Do you understand what I'm telling you? Now, do you think that they're not doing the same thing to grown women of these crimes? A grown woman or a grown young man who might be targeted with these crimes, because there's a lot of homosexuals in these sex trafficking rings, before they get a hold of them, their whole intention is to mind rape them using this technology. An organized stalking, gang stalking, targeted individual who has not yet been sucked into the human trafficking rings yet, but is already being gang stalked, harassed along their routes, who has already been brain mapped and neurally manipulated, can be standing in a grocery store and a guy will walk by and gaslight that young man or that young woman with physical gestures in order to they're called sensitization methods, you can Google it, in order to let that person, that young boy, that young man, or that young woman, in order to let that young man or young woman know that they're being gang stalked. And as that filthy skank is walking by him or her, and gaslighting them with these physical gestures, they will transmit a thought into their audio cortex using that young man's voice print or the young woman's voice print with the dialogue of, "Hi, can I please suck your..." Okay? Now, the targeted individual has more than likely already been possibly raped, sexually exploited, before they were able to escape that environment that they tried to entrap them in. But the campaign will continue against them as a result of the organized stalking expedition. Now, can you imagine someone doing this to you, subjecting you to gang stalking before you even become aware that what's happening to you is gang stalking, leading you to places that seem innocent and respectable so you can run to them for help, like churches and charities? That's right, where they will set you up into homeless shelters or domestic violence shelters that are run by them, or can be at least influenced by them or controlled by them, the syndicate that is responsible for all this. That's right. Now, in these homes or in these places, or even when they make a targeted individual homeless, they will cause them to be raped. As they're being raped, certain things might be said or done. That's right, for the targeted individual to either hear or see. What the target individual hears and or sees will then be represented along the target individual's route by the different individuals that they dupe to use each day that they place along that target individual's route to repeat. I was assaulted on an MTS bus on October 10th, 2011. About 5 minutes before he assaulted me, he went like this with his hand. He looked at me, then turned and looked at the guy sitting across from him and went like this. Now they have repeated this as I'm approaching different people along my path. They got them to repeat this around me and to go like this up in the air. Okay, that was done to remind me about that assault. Now you can go to Google right now and type in the following way that I described. They had this little girl raped, and when they raped her, they shoved a sock in her mouth. After that rape occurred, they then got along all her routes on subsequent days and threw socks along all of her routes to remind her about the rape and to intimidate her about running to the police. They, as a direct result of them doing this intentionally, they had plans on reminding her about the rape. That's the reason why they shoved the socks in her mouth when they raped her. After the rape occurred, every day for up to 2 years, they had different people get along this girl's route to remind her about the rape by intentionally and deliberately representing socks for her to see everywhere she went, practically nonstop. This is done in order to stimulate disassociation, because when she was raped, she became disassociated. The socks became associated to the disassociation. So every time she was represented with the sock, the mind went right back into that disassociated state. This is a form of mind control, because the socks stimulate the disassociation because they were associated to an event that caused the disassociation. That's right. Now, so can you imagine a campaign that was responsible for anchoring the socks in her mind, hosting the individuals to get along her route to intentionally represent her socks in order to stimulate disassociation of her mind, while they then transmit audio into her audio cortex, her own voice print. Can I please suck your? While this person is intentionally walking by and intentionally making sure that she knows that she's intentionally being reminded about the rape. Can you imagine knowing all the crimes that happened to you, and then certain associations were formed in your mind to be directly related to the crime, and then the individuals who managed and perpetrated the crime, as a result of them having employment descriptions in the system that can connect with fraternities, church groups, sororities, union members, city public workers, cults, anybody, gangs, even gang members, like gang members that have been in trouble with the law, and as a result of them being on probation or parole, a parole officer or a probation officer who is directly connected to the syndicate of gang stalking is told to get around that selected targeted woman and to do a certain thing around her, and that certain thing that he is told to do, okay, is directly connected to a previous trauma that they did towards her, including rape. Now, as this gang member who looks threatening, who doesn't even know the totality of what's going on, who's just doing what he's told because the probation officer told him that he'll be light on him if he goes and does this towards this woman, a guy who looks all gangster-like and skanky and everything like that you can think of, a real low-like looking guy, he'll be told to, like, say, be at a Ross grocery store, and when you see this woman, walk by her and do this. This is supposed to represent a penis, because they will sensitize a woman to finger pointing by, like, say if she takes a bus, okay? They'll wait till she gets on the bus, and then they'll put men along the bus, on the bus, and have them put their finger right next to their crotch, and then take the other finger and go up and down with it, like he's masturbating. Then after they've done, it's called sensitization methods. Then once they know that they have sensitized her to this finger to the crotch and the hand stroking it back and forth, they will then bring the finger up and do different things. Just so then now the finger will just remind her of that, okay? While when they were sensitizing her to this, they were also doing things before and after they did the back and forth with this. They were also doing things that were directly connected to the rape. And basically what they're doing is creating what is known as episodic memories. They are memories that are directly connected to an episode, an event. So if you have a girl raped and you shove socks in her mouth as she's being raped, seeing socks will not only stimulate the memory of the rape, but they could also have been doing other things as the rape was occurring, like putting their hands to their nose like this and laughing, you know, like as she's being raped, she's seeing that happening while the socks are being shoved in her mouth. They will then put people along her route every day after the rape and throw socks along her route while they're doing this. That's to stimulate the episodic memory, which stimulates the disassociation. And while they're doing this to her, they will transmit into her audio cortex using her own voice print, "Can I please suck your DI?" You know what I mean? This is called mental rape, physical rape, psychological rape, torture. These are the filthy, heinous nature of these wild horse, filthy criminal sewer rats. Okay? And if you don't believe what I'm saying, go to YouTube right now and type in John Hall Satellite Terrorism and listen to enough of his videos, because right now I'm going to segue into the second part of this video. Hold on a second. The second part of this video is to show you one of the methodologies that is used in organized stalking, gang stalking, human trafficking. I want you to go to Google right now and type in Alcoholics Anonymous and or Narcotics Anonymous and gang stalking. Just do it. Just do it and bear with me, okay? Because you're going to think to yourself, well, what would I care about an alcoholic or somebody who's doing drugs? I want you to listen to me closely, and I want you to listen to me carefully. When you go to YouTube and type in John Hall Satellite Terrorism, if you listen to enough of his videos, you're gonna talk about him talking about how they can transmit, it's called thought induction and or artificial thought, and artificial thoughts it's also called, okay? And he talks about how he'll mention it in a way where when you're reading to yourself, when they place thoughts into your head, just like when you're reading to yourself, you're hearing your own self think. Okay, and he literally describes that they can put thoughts into your head to get you to go somewhere to have a drink. That's where then they will drug the drink and rape the girl. Okay, now I want you to go to Google right now and type in organized stalking or gang stalking and bartenders. Now you might think to yourself, well, if they put a thought into a woman's head to go have a drink, all she's got to do is say no. I don't think so, because there's two things you need to consider here. They have already brain mapped this woman. And part of the brain mapping and the biological system mapping has to do with mapping what is known as the get up and go response. The get up and go response, as far as I can tell, and it's online. You can even Google it and type and cross-reference it to brain mapping or gang stalking. The get up and go response is an innate physiological response that is in every single human being's mind, in their brain, in their mind, and it's related to basically the fight or flight mode, which every human being has, period. That would be like if you're in a Walmart and all of a sudden you hear a shot fired, and then somebody says, a guy's got a gun. Your first instinct is to run. That's the get up and go response. Now that get up and go response is an innate, okay, built-in mechanism. It's a neural network that runs up through the limbic system. It's unconscious, okay, and it's also can be neurally connected to conscious thoughts. But basically what I'm saying is that it is an innate physiological signal, and they can brain map that biological system, physiological signal of anybody. Now, if they have the ability to also excite excitement or incitement while they're transmitting this psychological direction, yeah, I think I'm going to go have a drink. They can also stimulate a brain state of depression while they're transmitting the artificial thought of, I'm going to go have a drink, in that woman's own voice print. So she believes that she's just having a thought, I'm going to go have a drink, I got in a fight with my boyfriend, or I'm lonely, I'm depressed, or I'm happy. While they transmit that thought, and it is transmitted on a timed, constant rate below the perceptual radar, which means that the thought is kept constant. Okay, that's right, and it's transmitted on the perceptual radar in her own voice print, so she has no idea that this is really not her having this thought, while they're stimulating the get up and go response. They'll even stimulate They'll even stimulate, okay, where she can go ahead to drink at, because she's subjected to monitoring and surveillance 24/7, even using her own eyes and her video cortex and her own ears, her own audio cortex. If they're basically remotely neurally monitoring her, they can choreograph every internal thought she's ever had. So she could be going on lunch break one day in her car, going to like a Burger King, and she notices a Mexican restaurant, and she might think to herself, well, I gotta go there. You know, that looks pretty cool. I gotta go there. They know it because they're remotely neurally monitoring her. So if they want to set her up to go have a drink somewhere, and they already have a log pertaining to her previous thoughts, they know her regular routines concerning where she works or where she lives. They can even put the idea in her head that she might like this place. Basically what I'm saying is that through the remote neural monitoring, they work hand in hand with that to either stimulate a thought that's already happened or to put a thought in her head based on a thought that she had, to get her to go to, like, say, this really nice Mexican restaurant that's got a bar in it. Now, since these filthy criminal whores are in the alphabet agencies, they're also in the federal government like the FBI, and state and local governments, they are a syndicate. And they also have quasi positions, which means that a police officer can be a CIA person, okay? A police officer can be an FBI person. A police officer can work for InfraGard. This is a crime syndicate that has got a hold of this technology, and they are basically using this technology for these means. Now let me give you an example of what I'm leading up to. They can go into this restaurant that they have literally transmitted her to go to, okay, by manipulating her in the aforementioned ways that I just described. They can literally put the thought and idea in her head to go have a drink. Now go to Google and type in bartenders and gang stalking, bartenders and organized stalking, drugging drinks and gang stalking. In fact, if you don't believe that gang stalking expeditions do not drug a targeted individual's drink, whether it be Kool-Aid, Pepsi, or an actual alcoholic drink, go to YouTube and type in "listen to a stranger" and listen thoroughly and extensively to that entire video. That entire video is about gang stalking. It literally talks about how they can dupe anybody in the community to do anything for this one individual who's got a badge, to get them to do something towards an innocent woman. And look at what he's telling them to do. He's telling them to go and get her wallet, and he's telling them to separate the mother from the child. Wallet, identity theft, separating the mother from the child, human trafficking of an infant. Okay? Then when you further watch that YouTube video, you'll literally see how these same people were trying to get people to drop a pill down inside of a person's drink, and the excuses that were used to do it. Now, if you got individuals that got FBI badges or police badges, whether they be real or fake, and make no mistake about it, there are real federal agents involved in these criminal realities. And I am talking about all of the alphabet agencies, not just the FBI. Make no mistake about it. Now, do you really honestly think that anybody that's got a badge, especially at the federal level, or any of these NSA whores or CIA filthy animals, do you honestly think that if they go into any restaurant and wave this badge and combine it with a bullshit story, do you honestly think that they cannot gain access to that target individual's food or drink? Think again. They can even place one of their agents to pretend to be a bartender in one of these places, because they know the target individual is going there because they set it up for them to go there. Now, let's take a look at this. The woman then goes to this bar to have a drink. She might have 1, 2, 3, or 4, and they might even stimulate her to keep her drinking. That way it'll appear on their video cameras that she intentionally got herself drunk. She will then leave the bar and get behind the wheel, and guess who will pull her over? A syndicated, connected police officer, who more than likely has a quasi position, which means he's not just a local law enforcement officer. He will arrest her. He might even he might even rape her if she's so drunk that she's knocked out. Okay, if they put a date rape drink in her, if they put a date rape drug in her drink, they'll wait till she gets behind the wheel, wait till she gets so far, pull her over, and they have this shit timed concerning how long it takes for that, because they can put a, like, they can wait until she has 4 drinks, put a date rape drug in the 4th drink, and then put psychological direction in her head that it's time to go. They know how long it will take for that date rape drug to kick in. So they'll pull over, rape her in her own car, and then put handcuffs on her, call the impound to have the impound come and get her car, and she wakes up in the jail. This is where she's then got to pay thousands of dollars to get out of trouble, and guess what else happens? She gets sent to AA, which is run by a fucking cult. Excuse my language, please, but if you go to Google right now and extensively and meticulously research Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, you will discover that Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous I can't even speak today very well. AA and NA is run by cults. Cults that are directly connected to the government at the federal, state, and local level. I know it for a fact. And in fact, in some of their symbology that is on some of their pamphlets is directly connected to, directly identical to the Masonic cults. Now, all you got to do, and if you don't believe this, go to Google right now and type in the Masons and gang stalking. Now, you might think to yourself, as a result of me saying this, that I'm some kind of a Masonic hater or a Mason hater. To be totally honest with you, I do hate the Masons because I know for a fact what they're doing. Okay? I know it for a fact. Go to Google. In fact, go to Google right now and type in the white glove treatment and gang stalking, and you'll clearly see that that is a term that Masons use. That they will literally tell a target. They'll walk up to a target and say, "I think you deserve the white glove treatment." Okay, and the target will think, "What the hell does that mean?" And then he'll say, "Don't worry about it." And then 2 weeks later, the gang stalking starts of them. Okay. The Masons are involved in all different types of filthy whore, sewer rat crimes that you can think of and can't think of. Okay? What I'm trying to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, is that there are syndicated cults in our system at the military, federal, state, and local level. And they set up these supposed organizations like AA and NA, which are directly connected to the courts. And why do they do that? Because when a woman who has already been brain mapped and who was tricked to go to AA through this technology is now going to a cult, and what are they teaching her? Don't think, don't drink, go to meetings. So they're telling her not to think while they're continuing to stimulate the neural pathway that's now involved with drinking. That's right. In fact, you can go to Google right now and type in, let me see if I can bring it up while I'm talking to you because this video is getting long. I'm going to turn on my phone and go to. I'm going to turn on my phone right now and see if I can find it. I got it saved in one of my documentation files. Go to Google right now and type in brainwave frequency list. I'm going to try and see if I can bring it up right now. The one I got saved literally shows how brainwave frequencies have been identified that are responsible for alcoholism, drug addiction, depression, post-traumatic stress, all different kinds of different brain states, panic moods, anything and everything you can think of, they got a frequency for. So I'm going to go to Google and type it up right now and see what comes up. Better hurry up and do it because I'm going to try and keep this video at 50 minutes. The point I'm trying to make is that when the woman then goes to AA, what they're going to do is continue these schemes against her, because they got to make it appear on law enforcement on her criminal record that she's had more than one drinking and driving. So they'll probably do this to her at least anywhere between 1 and 4 times, okay, if not more. Okay, because they got to make it look like, because once they see, because the goal for them is to sucker into human trafficking. Okay, and they're going to try and use the alcoholism as the blame for it. Okay, that's right, and they'll eventually try to get her addicted to drugs. Any time that a neural pathway any time that a neural pathway is created, like, I think I'm going to go have a drink, and then you act on it, whether it's an inducted thought or not, it becomes a neural pathway. Okay, that's right, that's right. Now, they can identify this neural pathway with remote neural monitoring and stimulate everything that is in that neural pathway, all of its associated thoughts and behaviors, back into current consciousness in real time, while exciting the get up and go response again. They're making money off her. And the whole goal is to use the alcoholism to destroy her life and her independence. She'll eventually get fired from her job, which will create dependency for her to depend on the sponsors who magically come across her path at AA and say, oh, I can see from what you're sharing at the table that you lost your job because of your alcoholism. I can help you. The whole goal for them is to entrain her thinking to keep coming back to AA, to keep coming back to run to them. That's right, and to depend on them. And they'll help her out a few times in order to get that reward neural pathway entrained. Now, the reason why they're doing this is to get her to give up on her own thinking. She's constantly bombarded with thoughts, with slogans, don't think, don't drink, even though they're stimulating her to continue to drink and go to meetings. Get up and go response. Don't think. Because when she goes to this meeting, meetings every day, they're telling her what to think. Don't think. So basically what they're trying to do is to stop her ability from depending on her own thinking while getting her to depend on them. And all of these get up and go responses of constantly going to their meetings and having her and then inducing her to depend on them for anything, those are entrained pathways. Once these pathways are created and reinforced, they are identified using remote neural monitoring and stimulated back in consciousness in real time, so she will continually have the thoughts to keep running back to them. Then they will magically come up with excuses to leave her, to make her alone and isolated, and then the gang stalking will start of her. The assaults and the rapes will start of her, and the homelessness will be created. That's right. They'll also induce her to sign up for benefits like social services benefits. Hang on a second. Let me just do this really fast. Just hear me out. Alright, hold on. Alright, I got 3 minutes and then I'm going to stop this video and start a new one. And the new one will be a continuation of this one. And that YouTube video will be in the description of this YouTube video in reference to its title. That way you can get the full scope of what I'm telling you. Alright, so I'm going to voice command this brainwave frequency list right now into Google. Brainwave frequency list. Okay, here it is right here. Hold on, birdie. Okay, it's coming up right now. The the website that it's got, just go to Google and type in brainwave frequency list, and then type in, and then the website to go to is Biblio, there it is right there. I don't know how well you can see though. Biblioaudius.net. Okay, you can see it right here. It's a glossary. Okay, brainwave frequency listing glossary. Okay, it literally shows you all the different things. Here's the actual frequency ranges right here. Okay, it says it all. Drug addiction, alcoholism, everything, and they know it. What do you think remote neural monitoring is all about? I think this is the one. Okay, well anyways, just go to Google and type in brainwave frequency list or listings, and you'll find it. And you'll see that it says alcoholism, drug addiction, post-traumatic stress, depression, and everything. Well, what is remote neural monitoring? It's where they're not monitoring you neurally remotely, and they're doing this by hijacking on the resonance frequency of your brain. Now, basically what they do in AA is they get you to give up on your own thinking and then to form new thinking. That thinking that they're trying to form is to depend on the persons that they intentionally put up in your life, which is the reason why they set her up to have to go to AA. And it's basically for dependency entrainment. Now, after they get her entrained, after these neural pathways are created and then reinforced, they become entrained. These pathways hold thought processes of, my life's out of control, because they're continually still stimulating her to drink. Okay, and then she drinks for 3, 4, 5 days, maybe slept around with a couple men that they actually put in her path. That's right, including gang rape, okay? And then she's went through all of her money because she drank it all away. She has no food, but she's been entrained to run to them, to depend on them. They're basically entraining her to neurally control her, to keep her in their clutches, okay? Now, after a while, they then pretend like they're gonna give up on her, that they cannot help her, and they're gonna walk away from her. And this is done because in between, they have placed other people in her life along her routes that are connected to them, but she doesn't know it. These people will attempt to try to lead her into prostitution. And if you don't think that they can put ideas in her head concerning prostitution, well, remember what I talked about concerning that little girl at the beginning of this video. She'll have no money. They'll continue to stimulate her alcoholism, okay, after they've walked away. She'll have no money, and now she'll have no one to run to. And these men who have been put along her path before the AA assholes walked away from her will act like her friend. And then they'll start attaching strings to the friendship. She'll have the needs of not having no money. She needs food. The syndicated social services workers will creatively keep social services away from her. This is a syndicate set up and run by the state and at the federal level. She ends up becoming involved in prostitution, and those prostitution and trained neural pathways of giving up sex for money for food is created, reinforced, and then stimulated. And this is in part how the neural enslavement for the sexual human trafficking can come into play at. Just like that. My name is Leslie Williams, and as far as you perpetrators who I already know are watching this